It was Amalek who cut down the children without warning. On this Shabbat Zachor, Shabbat of memory, we are commanded to simultaneously remember Amalek and to blot out his name forever. On this Shabbat, just before the carnival holiday of Purim, where everything goes topsy-turvy, inside out, we are warned, watch your back. It's a dangerous world. You never know when Amalek is behind you. Out of the 17 people murdered in the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Florida, 5 were Jews. Alyssa Al-Hadef, Jamie Gutenberg, and Alex Schachter were first-year students, just 14 years old. Meadow Pollock was 18, a senior. And Scott Bagel was the 33-year-old teacher who is now remembered as a hero for blocking the classroom door and acting as a human shield for his students. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. The namesake of that high school in Parkland, Florida, is Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. Who was Marjorie Stoneman Douglas? An American journalist, author of short stories, activist for civil rights, women's rights, and a conservationist known for her staunch defense of the Everglades against efforts to drain it and to reclaim land for development. She is quoted as saying, as demanding, as instructing, teaching the following: be a nuisance when it counts. Do your part to inform and stimulate the public to join in your action. Be depressed, discouraged, and disappointed at failure and the disheartening effects of ignorance, greed, corruption, and bad politics, but never give up. Her words and her example inspire the high school students who are now finding their voices and speaking truth to power. Their voices are, it seems, the only source of comfort since the shooting. Their voices of emerging leadership, their emerging voices of clarity, their emerging voices of calling for rescue. In these voices, we can hear the echo of the voice of Esther, the biblical hero of the Purim story. Esther was also the most unexpected, the most unassuming character to emerge as an activist or a risk-taker. She was modest and shy. She was quiet and without ambition. Innocent. She never wanted the throne or the spotlight. They were thrust upon her. But she did rise to the occasion when her cousin Mordechai was able to persuade her that she was not safe, not even in the palace. So although it was against the law, she went uninvited to speak with the king. This is the first model of activism. Mordechai said to her through a messenger, "Do not think in your heart that you of all the Jews will escape because you are in the king's house. For if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will come to the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house will be destroyed if you don't do this. But who knows, Esther? Who knows whether you have not come into this position for exactly such a time as this, for exactly this purpose?" And so she went, uninvited to the king, without faith necessarily, without confidence that God was with her, that God would protect her. In fact, she said, "If I perish, I will perish." She didn't expect much. But she did take matters into her own hands, and this is the first model of an activist who activates, advocates, and does his and her best to create change, even if it's a lonely business. There are some who are now going uninvited to the elected kings of the land. Meadow Pollack's father, Andrew Pollack, was one of the few who was invited to address the president in a listening session this week. He said, "My daughter is now in King David Cemetery. How many schools? How many children? It has to stop here with this administration and me. I'm not going to sleep until it is fixed, and Mr. President, we're going to fix it because I'm going to fix it. I'm not going to rest until I fix it." This is that first model of desperation, that lonely pursuit of change. There is another model in Judaism, in fact, a more common, more popular model. And that comes to us from the Pesach story, where we see all around us God's hand in human history. We see miracles and wonders. We know that God's presence is with us, that God is on our side, as it were. And so we can march for change with greater confidence because our faith is strong. In our prayer book just moments ago, we prayed, "Sur chayenu magen ishenu atahu ledor vador." You, O God, are the rock of our life, the power that shields us in each and every generation. Amen v'amen, we pray. Some Jews take up this model with full confidence, feeling that they are partners with God in bringing the world to greater humanity, to greater justice, to greater security for all. And that stands in contrast to the Purim story, where God is so often hidden from view. The scroll of Esther is a godless book, after all. God's name doesn't appear even once. And so we do our utmost, even without the security of God's security. Rabbi Jason Rubinstein of the Machon Hadar Institute actually admires that Purim model most of all. He says, Purim, not Pesach, is when faith becomes real. Because if you can choose acts of courage when there is no obvious promise for redemption, if you can stand up for the core values of Judaism when God is silent, when God is invisible, if you can turn to God for help even when you're not sure that God is there at all, then you are truly living out the covenant. And then there is a third model, a hybrid model, which is the one I favor most days at least. And that is not that we pursue change alone, wondering if God is with us. Not that we pursue change knowing full well that God will intervene, that God will join us, that God will bring miracles and wonders, but rather that we are fulfilling a divine mission when we hear God's call and we respond as best we can in this world. Our response to God's call, our responsibility, our God-given task to lead and create our own fate. This model is best expressed today by the words of the prophet Isaiah, who said in God's voice, "When you lift up your hands in prayer, I will turn my eyes away from you. Though you pray at length, I will not listen because your hands are stained with blood. Wash yourselves clean," God says. "Put your evil doings away from my sight. Cease to do evil, learn to do good, devote yourself to justice, and come to the rescue of those who have been wronged." Whether you are a Purim Jew who takes action without confidence that God is with us, or a Pesach Jew who takes up action with full faith, a perfect faith, that we live lives in partnership, sacred partnership with God, or prophetic Jews, like Isaiah, who takes up God's call for human action, who takes up responsibility as a response to God's call. Let us all, Purim Jews, Pesach Jews, and prophetic Jews, all band together to bring about an end to this unseemly violence, which is an affront to God, and the seemingly endless hatred which has gone unchecked for too long. And let us say to those who would do harm, let us say together loud and clear, Utsu eitza v'tufar, dabru davar velo yakum, ki imanu el. Go ahead, make your plans, they will be annulled. Go ahead and scheme your schemes against us, they will not avail. For God, who is sometimes hidden, sometimes apparent, but always with us, God will be with us even now. Ken Yehi Ratzon.